Hey everybody, my name's Kurt Conrad and welcome to another edition of West 4th and Goal, a podcast for high school sports fans in north central Ohio. I'm here with co-host Effie James, and Effie, from what it sounds like, there's going to be a snow apocalypse this weekend. Are you prepared?
Well, I think so. I think my wife went to the store, and I think she bought every 32 pack of water there was in the Tri-County area.
Yeah, so. As soon as things are done here, as soon as we're done recording, I'm going to go buy every loaf of bread and jug of milk there is. Before we get going here, I know you have some super exciting news. We talked a couple weeks ago about your upcoming documentary, and you finalized a date for the public showing. Why don't you tell everyone about that?
I did. The public viewing will be on February 2nd, which is a Saturday, at the Mansfield Senior High Auditorium. It is a documentary that I've been working on for quite a bit. It is called TY for Tigers, a story of life, community, and basketball. And it really just documents the story of the 1984-85 boys basketball team's run to the state championship that year, and in general, just about high school basketball in this area and the community itself. And it's an interesting story, and a lot of people gave a lot of great stories, right. and I think it's going to be a interesting look.
Yeah, I certainly can't wait for it. I helped I wouldn't say I helped, but I hope to arrange some interviews for you this summer, and just talking to the guys that we talked to. I'm not going to give anything away here, but it's going to be super awesome. I can't wait to wait for the viewing day. What's the day again?
February 2nd. It's a Saturday. It is the same day as the Mansfield boys triple header against Sandusky. The game, the varsity will tip off at about 2, and our viewing would like to start right about 5 o'clock. So hopefully the people can leave that are in the game and go right from the game to the viewing.
Right on. Well, if I don't know about you, but I am super excited to talk to this week's guest. I wanted to have him in during the football season. He's also a very good football player. But the guy in charge of booking guests, who would be me, I guess, kind of dropped the ball. Thankfully, he's every bit as good as a basketball player as he is a football player. So we finally have him down to the Idea Works podcast studio. But before we introduce him, I'd like to take a minute to thank our audience one more time. Since we started season 2 of the podcast in the fall, we've been downloaded more than 30,000 times, which is I can't begin to thank our listeners enough. We're a very targeted podcast. I mean, we are aimed at a very specific audience, and it's humbling to have reached so many people in such a short period of time. With that, we have a favor to ask of the listeners, and it's kind of a big ask. While you're listening to this week's episode, if you could go visit richlandsource.com and click on that big purple button up at the top of the page that says Become a Member, we would certainly appreciate it. You'll be redirected to Richland Source membership page. Just take a couple of minutes and look around and see what becoming a member looks like. Richland Source exists to tell the whole story of the communities we serve. And through our Solutions Journalism initiative, our team is striving every day to find effective responses to problems that are holding the community back. We believe a newsroom that listens to its audience can create real value and real change, and your membership says you believe in us and our mission. Memberships start for as little as $4.99 a month, and that includes complimentary tickets to shows at the Renaissance Theater and the Mansfield Playhouse, and among other benefits. Visit richlandsource.com or sourcemembers.com to become a member and help us continue to make a difference in Richland County. At $4.99 a month, that's less than most people spend on coffee in a week, so I don't think that's such a huge ask after all.
Not at all, and a great benefit to go along with that.
Right. And now that we've got all that taken care of, it is my great pleasure to introduce this week's guest. He was a Division IV All-Ohio Special Mention selection in the fall and is well on his way to All-Ohio honors again this winter. He averages more than 15 points and about 4.5 assists a game. For Shelby, and for good measure, he won the Division II High Jump State Championship last spring at Jesse Owens Memorial Stadium. Let's welcome Shelby's Uriah Schwemley to the studio. And Uriah, I know when we were texting, I was a little concerned about the roads. How was the travel down to Mansfield from Shelby? Was it okay?
Oh, it was just fine. I mean, not too bad. I've driven it a bunch of times before. It's only about 20 minutes. So, I mean, roads weren't too bad, cleared up a little bit.
We got a small window. It's a good thing we did it tonight, 'cause
Right.
it sounds like tomorrow's not going to be great and this weekend's going to be a disaster.
Oh, yeah.
Uriah, you are the son of Shelby basketball coach Troy Schwemley. And I was just wondering, what's that dynamic like? I mean, do you call him coach at practice and dad at home? And how's that work?
I mean, sometimes I'll slip up at practice and be like, hey, Dad. But then, I usually call him coach, just be respectful and just, like, not try to make myself above any other players on the team. But, I mean, it's fun because he's always coached me my whole life for whatever sport it was. And I've always loved having him as my coach. And, I mean, I've always liked it. And he's a great coach. I mean, doing the best he can. And a little struggle this year, but I mean, we're trying to turn around and get back on the winning streak.
Sure,
so.
sure. And F, I think you can probably speak to this as well as anyone. Sometimes that line between coach and father gets a little blurred. This is my favorite Effie James story all time. F used to go to the state basketball tournament with me when we'd ride down together, and from the time I'd pick him up until the time I dropped him off 12 hours later, his phone never stopped ringing. And finally I asked him, I said, F, who's calling you all the time? And this was when he was still coaching at senior high, and he said, well, it's the kids on the team, and they don't have father figures, and they just need to talk to a male. And you by default, I guess that falls on you sometimes, and it's something you did, and I think you were proud to or happy to do it.
Well, and I think it goes along with coaching, like Uriah was saying about his dad. It goes with the territory, and coaching at senior high was one of those things, and Marquise is experiencing it now,
Sure.
and we all have, and you have to embrace that. And my stepson played for me my first couple years, so I understand how that goes. And I know it was tough for him because I really expected and demanded a lot of him, and I didn't even want the inference that I was giving him any kind of preferential treatment. And he probably suffered a little bit because of that, but I think in the end, he understood, and it made him a better player.
Right. We're pretty deep into basketball season, but Uriah, let's go back take me back to last spring. You went out for track, for the first time since junior high school, and all you did was clear 6'6" at the Division II state tournament, and won yourself a state championship. What was that whole experience like for you? And how, I would imagine you're going to be back to defend your crown maybe this year.
Oh yeah, definitely gonna try to do that. But I mean, I never was like a huge track fan, but I mean, I really enjoyed this year and had a great time doing it. But my best friend talked me back into doing it, and because he high jumped before I did, and he actually made it out of state with me, but he fell a little bit short. Yeah, it's gonna be fun again this year, trying to get another state title, and I mean, just gonna try to come back out and do the best I can. So.
Yeah, and we were talking just a little bit ago before we started recording, and at about 24 hours after you got to the top of the podium down there, you were on your plane to Guatemala for a mission trip. Just tell us about that. I mean, that must have been your head must have been spinning.
I mean, yeah, it was crazy because we got on the plane, kind of went down to Guatemala, and then got back home. I was like, oh yeah, I kind of just won the state track meet. So I mean, it was just kind of crazy, but I mean, it was awesome going down there and just doing whatever I can to help out the people there, and it was a great experience. So.
Was it through your church or how?
Yeah, it was through my church. I got a core community church in Shelby, and they do a lot to help out there, or help down there. And I mean, they go once a year now, and I'm hoping to go again this summer. So they go every other summer. But we sponsor a ton of kids. I think it's like close to 100, I think, and they have a big care point down there that we help sponsor, and just keep going and just help all the kids out there because they're in a terrible situation and they can't do anything about it because that's just how they're where they're born. So I mean, we're just trying to help out best we can. So
right. And I was telling you off there. I mean, my wife and I adopted a little boy from Guatemala. It's been 11 years ago now, which seems crazy, and that's the last time we were down there.
Getting
and it's
old, man.
Absolutely, and so is he. He's almost as tall as me, and his voice is already so much deeper than mine. You wouldn't even believe it. But F and I mean, it's pretty neat that situation exists, that they're going down to help out a lot of people.
That's unbelievable to me, and when I see kids like that are interested in things like that, and I think about myself as a teenager and playing sports and being recruited, and I look back and I'm like, man, you were such a yutz.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because that type of stuff just never really crossed my mind to help people, but I'm seeing more young people like Uriah that are more than just about sports, and what they're involved in right now, and they're reaching out and they're helping people, man. And that's a credit to Uriah and his family and Coach Schwemley and all of that. That is amazing. It absolutely is.
Right. Let's before we get into the basketball piece, let's talk a little bit. You were a very good football player in All Ohio in this past fall. As a sophomore, you were on a team that reached the regional final. As a junior, you played in the state semifinals, and that hadn't happened around here in I think 10 or 11 years since Ashland did it in like
Right.
08.
Right.
What is that whole experience like? I mean, it's got to be a dream come true.
I mean, yeah, it was awesome playing in both those teams. I mean, have a lot of great friendships that I'm still connected with. Like, I still talk to Carter probably twice a week, just kind of catch up on things. But I mean, it was just awesome because, like, I mean, I was sophomore, and I was like, going into that year, I was expecting to play maybe a little bit, but then I came out and actually started, and I was like 180 pounds playing at middle linebacker, and I felt a little skinny. But I mean, I got actually moved back to outside, which is where I like to play mostly. But it was just a great run, and it was awesome going to both. We went to played Steubenville both times, and the crowd the show we brought was just incredible. Playing Akron last job, I mean, turning around and like seeing everybody. I think everybody from Shelby went to that game. I could guarantee there was no one in the town of Shelby.
Last one out, turn out the lights, sort of thing.
I mean, it was just awesome, and we turned around and the crowd was going crazy, and it was just a feeling I'll probably never forget for the rest of my life. So.
Right. And you played in a playoff game at Mansfield Senior. I mean, it's a whole different. I mean, I wasn't a football player, but I was on some basketball teams that went deep into the postseason, and it was always amazing to me how many people showed up that weren't showing up during the regular season. But it's a whole different level of excitement.
You know, when your school gets put on a kind of a state level in that spotlight, it really encourages your community, and you really get a chance to, you know, wear that city's name on your chest, and it just really it pulls together a community like nothing else that I've seen, you know,
Right.
and even doing this documentary, I see how that pulled together the Mansfield community, and when Shelby was making their run, and you know, nothing pulls communities and people together like sports, and that's something that I always enjoy, and I think that's what's drawn me to sports for so many years, is because how the community comes together, people come together, all races, cultures, religions, everybody loves a good high school athletic contest.
Right. And Uriah, you guys start this season 3-0. You're probably thinking, here we go again. We're going to do it again. You get hurt in week 4 against Bellevue. Then things kind of come off the wheels. You guys, it was kind of an uneven season the rest of the way. You finished 5-5.
Yep.
How was that? I mean, was it disappointing for you, or I mean, how'd that turn out for you?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's disappointing. I mean, I wish we would have won more games, but I mean, the team I played with this year is probably my favorite team, just because we were so close. And I mean, I love all those guys I played with, and like even the freshmen, kind of, because we had a lot of freshmen play and had to step up because we had a lot of injuries. I mean, we only had, I think, 7 seniors the whole season, and I think 3 of them went down, and we had to play a bunch of younger guys, and they stepped up and did the best they could. But the teams we played this year, they all were pretty good, and they had a bunch of bigger guys, and we were playing freshmen that, I mean, if they get a few more years, I mean, they're going to be great ball players. But I mean, we did the best we could, and I was hoping to put on another run like we did, because we started off 3-0, but then I got that concussion, and I mean, Norwalk whooped us, but they were a great team, and I mean, they were awesome. But
you touched on it. There was a concussion against Bellevue. Sat out that next week against Norwalk. Given the state of football, I guess, and head trauma and all those things, what's concussion protocol for a high school kid look like? Is it very similar to what the guys at higher levels go through, or?
I mean, all I had to do was we take our impact test, and I failed it the first time, so then I have to go through all our steps, and we had once I passed the impact test again, and my headache started stopping and stuff, then I started up, I get one day of jogging, and then I have to go through a day of sprints, and then no contact, and then when I got to my no contact, we qualified my no contact as our warm up against Norwalk. So I mean, that was that day. So then I got back, and we got back, and I mean, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't too hard to get back. But we had a few. I think we had who else got a concussion? Blaine Bowman was a freshman that played corner for us. He got a concussion, and his was longer than mine, actually. I think he was sat out for a week and a half, 2 weeks. But it's just different. Just matters how your headaches are and how you feeling and stuff like that. So.
F, was there concussion protocol when you were when you were playing in high school? It seems like it's come a long way since the mid '90s.
It has come a long way, and I think that's a good thing. As a matter of fact, I think that's a great thing. And there was no real concussion protocol. They used to say you got your bell rung, and it used to be just to show how it was a sign of toughness that you could stick it out and stay in games with your bell rung. And what we're finding now is that is the exact opposite of what should be happening.
Right.
And I can appreciate what the NFL has done, and that has trickled down to college and even high school football, because the truth of the matter is that's stuff that's going to stick with you for a while. So making these decisions for these young people when they're young, I think that's the best thing for them.
And Noah Jones, our producer and editor, is sitting in. You did a pretty extensive piece on head trauma this past fall. I mean, it's certainly a hot button topic. I mean, you've talked to some experts on it. It seems like they're paying a lot more attention to it now than they ever have in the past.
Yeah, I think that one of the coolest things that I discovered was that there are trainers on the sides of every football team. Most of them are Ohio Health and Avita in Richland County and Crawford County. And they have protocols with experts. The trainers are like through these hospitals, and so that there's so much more protocols. And what's really interesting is that the protocol, whether someone has a concussion or not, isn't up to the football coach. The trainer is the one who says you can either play him or you can't play him. And what I've based on the coaches that I spoke with, including Uriah's coach, told me that helps alleviate a lot of the issues and a lot of the stress of it takes the onus off of the coaches.
Right.
And so I think that it's definitely coming a long way. That being said, I still hold strong that the best way to not get a concussion is to probably play something other than football.
The whole training piece is something that's kind of, when I graduated in the early 90s, my coach had to tape my ankles every day. We didn't have a trainer. And I would imagine a lot of things went undiagnosed because there weren't any trainers on the sideline.
Interesting story. When I started to coach, I was coaching football under Stan Jefferson. They had just started doing the thing that Noah was talking about. They were bringing in these trainers from Med Central and the different hospitals, where our trainer was Tiffany, and I don't think her last name was Spittler at that time, but she's now Lucas coach's wife.
Okay.
But I don't think they were married at that time. But
Right.
she was our first trainer. Well, she was she was up on her medicine, and she was the first one that really started looking into injuries, heat index when we practiced,
Right.
and concussions, and I know us as coaches, we looked at her like she had three heads. Like, what do you mean he can't practice because he got his bell rung? But she was so adamant, and now looking back, I really appreciate how she done, and that kind of started to change the tide and how we dealt with our high school athletes at senior high.
Right. Let's jump ahead to the basketball season now. You guys start to see 6 seniors on the roster.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I would imagine the expectations were pretty high coming into the year. Just talk a little bit about, in addition to 6 seniors, you guys had the good fortune to have a 6'6" sophomore move into the school district,
Mm-hmm.
who's a pretty darn good player.
Yes, he is.
TJ Pugh, is it?
Yep.
And is it hard to mess with chemistry when there's 6 seniors already there? Or did he come in and fit right in, or how'd that work?
To start off with, our first few scrimmages in the summer were it was a little weird, just trying to get used to each other. But once we started clicking, we went to Findlay basketball camp and we actually won it. So we started clicking there, and it kind of got better just over time. And Hunter going down, I think it was like 3rd or 4th game, really hurt. He led us rebounds and blocks, and he scores a ton too for us. So probably our best shooter. We're 7-6 now, looking to turn some stuff around, and just go the best from here, and just try to get better every day.
Right. You guys, I think, were 3-1 when Hunter got hurt against Ontario. Mm-hmm. And for those who might not know, Hunter Hoffman's a 6'7", basically a swingman. He does a lot of things for you guys.
Oh, yeah.
That's a hard thing to replace at the high school level. I can't imagine having to fill those shoes.
Yeah, when I think, looking at Hunter and even at Uriah, these guys are, they're the new age basketball athlete, long guys that can do multiple things, handle the ball, shoot from the outside. And, when you have that on your team and then you pluck some of those pieces away, it can be a challenge. And like we talked about last week when we were talking about Shelby, some of the great things, or a good thing about, having some early season struggles is you got an entire second half of the season. Going into the postseason, it's like a whole new season. So, I think they've got a great opportunity to pull it all together and make a good run here in the second half.
Right. You guys, since that injury, I mean, you guys, lost 3, then won 4, then most recently you've lost 2 in a row here. Been kind of uneven, I guess. I mean, is it hard to reestablish your footing, I guess? Is it the best way I can put it?
Yeah, I'd say that we've just had struggles of playing together. I mean, sometimes we have even I sometimes shoot the ball a little too much here and there, but I mean, we're getting back together, just playing as a team and not really caring who scores anymore, and just playing team defense, talking more. And once you do that, I think we can get back on the winning streak. I mean, it's awesome playing with all my guys that I've grown up with since I was like 6 or 7, and it's just fun to enjoy the last year and just play all together and just try to win games. So
right. One of those early wins was against Lexington, a team that had gone to the Final Four the year before. I would imagine there's some extra incentive. I would imagine when you're facing a team that has played in Columbus the previous year.
Oh yeah, I mean it was an awesome game. I mean, we came out, we were ready to go because I mean obviously it was Lexington, and there's always a little feud between Shelby and Lex. I mean, I want to say it's a friendly one, but we went at it, and I mean we came out on top. I think we only won by 4, but we played good defense, and they hit some shots late that put them back in the game, and we just held them off, and it was an awesome game.
And in addition to all the ups and downs of this season, I mean, kind of as a really tragic backdrop. I mean, the Shelby community's been kind of dealing with this ongoing tragedy for about a month now. Lindsay, is it Geese? Is it?
Geis.
Geis, I'm sorry.
Geis, yep.
She's a senior and the daughter of the high school principal, John Geis. She was battling an infection, and tragically, she had to have both of her legs amputated below the knees. And we were talking just briefly about before we started recording here, and she's a very good friend of yours. I mean, it's probably been really hard for everyone, but especially you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just terrible because Lindsay's like one of the best people you ever meet. She's always happy and always just trying to put you in a better mood if you seem sad or anything, and she's always helpful no matter what, and everybody loves her, and it just sucks for her because, I mean, but I know she's going to get through it, and just she's super high spirits about it still, and I mean, she got a great family, and they're going to take care of her, and she'll definitely be with us for graduation, so I'm excited for that.
And Coach, it's something like that makes wins and losses, puts all that stuff into perspective for you.
It really does, and I think doing things the way Uriah does, and the mission trips and things like that, things outside of sports, always it enables people to put things into perspective, and something like that is just something else. Besides sports, and one of the things that I was always told, besides sports, the other thing that brings people together is tragedy and heartbreak. And sometimes when you're trying to build somebody up, and that's another way that communities come together, and schools come together, and friends come together. I think that when you're dealing with something outside, and one of the things I've always tried to do as a coach is get my team involved in other things outside of sports that had absolutely nothing to do with sports, right. Just to keep them balanced, and so they would understand that the world is more than dribbling a basketball, because the fact of the matter is the majority of them, if not all of them, will not be doing this for a living.
Right.
So it's good to keep that in perspective.
Right. 2-point losses are a lot more stomachable, I guess, if there's people out there who are dealing with a lot bigger things than wins and losses.
Absolutely.
And Uriah, you said Lindsay has been sent to Mansfield. I guess there are things looking up for her. How's it? I mean, do you know much about her situation now? Or?
I don't know when she gets to go home or anything, but I know that she got back to Mansfield yesterday. So I mean, that's great for so more people can come see her, because she was down in Columbus for a while. But yeah, it's good for her to be almost back home, and she's excited for that, and it'll be nice when she gets back home.
Yeah, and I covered some games out there. You guys did some things for her. I mean, I would imagine the community is really rallying around her right now.
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, right when it happened, well, I think we had so many people come out. It was like a freezing night, and we all brought candles, and we sang. It was close to Christmas time. We out and sang just carols and stuff. like in front of the school by the flag post and stuff, and it was just awesome. I mean, we've had other schools even contact, like they've asked me if they would like us to wear yellow or anything for like, because we've all worn yellow and stuff. I mean, it's just awesome to see like other schools, like even Wheeler, they had a yellow night for Lindsay one night. It was awesome to see that.
Well, Lindsay, if you're listening, we're all everyone's pulling for you. That's
Absolutely.
for sure. Shelby has a very big weekend coming up. You guys host Clear Fork on Thursday, and you go to Ontario on Saturday, weather permitting. Let's take a quick break, and we'll come back with Uriah Schwemley, and we'll talk about Shelby's big double weekend, and we'll ask Uriah the question everyone is dying to know. You're listening to West 4th and Goal. We'll be right back. Welcome back to West 4th and Goal, a podcast serving high school sports fans in north central Ohio. For co-host Effie James, I'm Kurt Conrad, and we're here with Shelby's Uriah Schwemley. Uriah, before the break, we were talking about a very big weekend for Shelby, and we'll get to that in a minute. But before that, I wouldn't be doing my job very well if I didn't ask you one pretty simple question. You're an All-Ohio football player, an All-Ohio candidate in basketball, and the defending Division II state champ in the high jump. What's your favorite sport, or is it kind of a three-way tie? Where do you stand there?
I mean, it's kind of hard to answer what my favorite is, but I mean, I think I'm closer to basketball just because like my dad's always coached it, and I've always been closer to it. But I mean, playing football, there's nothing like it, and I mean, just going doing track with all my friends and actually like winning a state title, like that was crazy. And I mean, they're all kind of close, but I mean, I think that basketball might be a little bit on top. So, but I mean, it's all pretty close. So
Right.
it's hard to say.
What are you best at, do you think?
I mean, I don't really know. I mean, just kind of try to do my best no matter what it is, and just always going to put my heart out into it. So,
Well, here's the big reveal. I understand you've reached a decision here recently. What's it going to be at the college level, and where are you headed?
I'm actually going to be playing football at the University of Findlay. And great opportunity, and I'm excited to go there. And just going to be a great 4 years, and the staff there has really helped me out, and I already love it there. So it's going to be awesome.
And Coach, we were talking, he's going to be joining Brian Benson up there.
Yeah.
And Toledo had quite a year for himself this
Sure.
past year. I think he rushed for 900 and almost 1,000 yards as a sophomore, and that was when it was still kind of a running back by committee situation.
Right.
I don't think it's going to be that going forward here.
No, well, that's a great decision, by the way, Uriah. They are a really good program, and not only is Brian Benson, but also Choke Bradley Jr.
Right.
is playing there at Findlay. So, I think Uriah is going to be a great addition to that program.
Right, and I think Cameron Knowlton Goings is on the roster over there too. It's a North Central Ohio reunion, a little west of here.
Nice.
This weekend, you guys are hosting Clear Fork on Thursday, Ontario on Saturday, weather permitting, which is probably not going to happen. But so you'll at least get one in this weekend. It sounds like you'll probably play Thursday against Clear Fork. That's a team that's leading the Mid Ohio Athletic Conference. I don't think they've lost a conference game yet. They got you guys at their place early in the year. That was a close game. 2 or 3 or 4 points maybe.
Mm-hmm.
What do they do well, and what'd you learn the first time around?
No, I mean, the first time we played them, I think we kind of, after coming off beating Lexington, we thought we were the best team ever, and we kind of went up there just expecting to win, and we didn't really come out and play like we should have. But I mean, we're ready for them this time. I mean, they move the ball well. They all can shoot, and they play hard. I mean, they might not be the biggest team, but they definitely pour their heart out, and I mean, they give it all every game, and they play really well together. So it should be a good game.
And if we were talking about this last week, it's those communities. When I think of those two communities, I mean, those kids are tough.
Sure.
It's not going to be for the faint-hearted, I wouldn't imagine.
Right, and I think the physicality of those games, and Uriah can attest to how those games are. They're not, they're not the games where you don't touch and you kind of run a wide open offense. I think these are games where you're going to get some physical play but also some athleticism, and that's what I enjoy about watching those teams play. You're going to get the physicality, but also the skill level. has increased for both these teams. So it'll be a big game and one of those games you love to play at this point of the season, because heading into the second half of the year, you really want to see where you are.
Right, and you can speak to this as well as anyone. I mean, it's awesome to win that game, but if you lose that game, it's not like the season's over. It's
right.
no time to pack it in there.
Absolutely, the best part of the year right now, and as a coach, I always try to challenge my teams at this part of the year to be better, to get better, and challenge them to step outside their comfort zone, because now's the time. We have to see who we're going to be going into the tournament. So, if you're a kid that is not going to be able to perform or hasn't performed or has taken a step back in your potential, then I have to know that. We have to know that as a team and as a coaching staff going down the road. And if you're a guy that wants that playing time, now's the time to step up and be heard, so to speak, so with your play. So it's a great time of the year for teams and coaches, and those rivalries start to mean a lot. Rivalry games start to mean a lot more this part of the season.
Right. And you guys have Ontario on Saturday. Ontario tomorrow night is playing Marion Harding at Marion Harding. That's another one. I mean, that conference this year is. I mean, there's a lot of really darn good teams in there.
Yeah, a lot of teams are. To me, it seems like a lot of teams are really improving. And year in and year out, some teams are just haven't been as competitive. But this year, it seems like any team could step up and get any team right now. So you really got to be on your A game in this area at least. And I think that's a tribute to basketball in this area and how competitive each school has become.
And you guys beat Ontario, Uriah. You lost to Marion Harding by 2. I mean, what do you expect that to be another battle?
I mean, we're looking to just come out and as long as we win, I don't really care how many points it is, but we're hoping to just take care of them like we did the first time. I mean, we're focusing more on Clear Fork first. We don't even talk about the next team we play usually, but I think we can take care of them again. But right now our focus is Clear Fork, and we got to beat them first because they're obviously 7-0 in the league, and they're playing really well still, and we got to end that streak and have ourselves a little streak. So, I mean.
Coach, I would imagine those double weekends, especially when there's 2 conference games and that's short. I mean, that's got to be a coach's nightmare to get him to focus on the one, and then you only get about 12 hours to prepare for the other one.
We fought for a long time in the when the Cardinal Conference first came. When Greg was coach, we really wanted to ban like back-to-back conference game. Like that was something that we really hated because I always felt like conference teams deserved equal amount of preparation time, and you really can't do that unless you're going to cheat something if you try to we tried everything, split the week in half, and the first 3 days or first couple days were to the team we're going to play Saturday. The next 2 days were going to be to the team we play that Friday, and it's very tough, and your conference games this part of the season are all championship games,
right?
Because you drop one, you may not be able, that might take you out of the hunt for the title. So these are all championship games.
Right. In the Ohio Cardinal Conference, Mansfield Senior is at Madison on Friday. I don't know what the weather forecast looks like on Friday, but I think Friday games will get played. Senior High won that game pretty comfortably the first time around. But that's a throw the record out the window thing, right? I mean, especially at their place.
Yeah, Madison, I never was comfortable playing there. It's always a game that, your kids have to be ready to play, and we as coaches always knew that, and just sometimes, you walk in on the road and you think, well, they're struggling, so we don't have to give as much effort. But, I was just talking to Marquise today, and, he's feeling it as we all do, going into a road game when you're a heavy favorite against a team, your rival. That game can go either way. So, that is going to be a big game for them. And those are the type of games that for Madison could be a turnaround game. They play a great game that night, and who knows what the second half of the season could mean for them.
Right. And I remember covering a lot of games in the early 2000s where Senior High was a big favorite, and they'd go over to Madison, and those were like
tight
82 to 78 games, something crazy like that. Uriah, you've seen them both. I mean, I mean, you guys gave Senior High a real good game in the 419 challenge. What challenges, I guess, come with playing a team like that, and same with Madison?
I mean, Madison, you never really know what they're going to bring because, I mean, some nights they're on, some nights they could be off. But, I mean, they play hard. I mean, they don't really have the size there, but, I mean, they all have a bunch of guards that they'll kind of little scrappy guards. They'll D up and try to play well. And then senior, they got a really good team this year. I mean, I've played AU with, like, Quan and Dontavius, and they're real good ball players. I mean, Dontavius can block every shot. So, I mean, I mean, they're a great team, and we came out the second half. I don't remember how they were up at half, but we were down a little bit. We came back, put up a little run, and trying to make it a good game. But I mean, I'd expect Senior to win, but like you guys said, you never know when you're going to Madison because there's some years where we are big favorites to win at Madison. They put up a good fight. They always put up a good fight no matter where you go. So. Should be a good game. We'll see.
But you've gotten a good look at him over the year. How does Quan Hillary consistently get his shot off when he's not the biggest dude in the world?
I mean, he's unexpectedly quick sometimes. I mean, he can throw the ball or he can pass the ball. He can shoot the ball anywhere past half court. I mean, he's a real good ball player and fun guy to be around also. And wish him the best of luck this year. So
yeah, in the 419 challenge. I think TJ got past his guy a couple of times, and then he got toward the rim, and Dontavius Burton was there. And that was probably something no disrespect to the conference he was playing in at Seneca East, but, that's probably not something he encountered at Seneca East. And that's what you got to learn when you get over here.
I mean, yeah, even against Willard, Devon Triplett, I mean, he blocked a ton of shots. I mean, we just don't really see those type of guys that much around here, but they're special and they can jump and they block everything. I mean, they can dunk everything too if they want to. So, I mean, there's freak athletes, there's great ball players, and I mean, we gotta look out for that sometimes, but do what we can do.
Right. Also in the OCC, I think Lex is at home with Mount Vernon. That's a Mount Vernon team that we don't not a lot of people know a lot about Mount Vernon because they're relatively new to the conference, and they're a little further south, and most of the time they're playing schools down in the Central District. But I love Nick Kuhn, the head coach at Mount Vernon. He's a guy who played at Findlay, won a national championship at Findlay, and I mean last year They might have had the upset of the tournament last year in the sectional final. Right. I can't remember who they beat, but it was someone they had probably no business beating. And it was one of the picks. I think it was one of the
Pickerington. Yes, that's
and,
right.
He does such a great job with those kids because he's doing it with. I mean, there's probably not a D1 guy on his roster or a D2 guy for that matter.
Well, one of the things I think Coach Kuhn does a great job of is he controls tempo, and even the game against Lex and Senior High. They've done a great job of it, but at some point, sometimes, talent sometimes can override, and take over and win a game. But, the first time they played Lex, they basically control the tempo and they control the game. And I'm sure they're going to try to do that on the road, which is going to be very tough to do at Lex. But he has done an outstanding job with that program. And like I've said before, if your kids buy in, talent level is important. I'm not saying it's not, but if you got your entire team bought into your concept and how we're going to play and how we're going to win, you can beat anybody on any given night.
Right. And that gym down there at Mount Vernon, that might be one of the best home court advantages, certainly in the conference.
Right.
It's a tight little gym, and their kids turn out for them.
Yeah, that's a high school sports, and sometimes we, in the midst of wins and losses and statistics and all that, we kind of forget that it is a game, and it's a game for young people. And when your school gets involved and they really show the pride in their school, that's worth points. And I've always said that. I used to go when I was coaching and talk to the kids who were a part of the Jungle, our fan club, and I would tell them when I saw them in the hallway, I need you guys at the game. That's worth points. That energy may not help you score, but it helps you defensively. It helps you in transition. It helps you get offensive rebounds because of the energy that the crowd brings. So that's a great advantage for them.
Uriah, you probably speak to that too. I mean, you guys probably draw a little energy from the Red Rays. Is that right?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, over the years they've always done a great job. But I mean, this year I saw my friends in there, a bunch of crazy football players that. I mean, we've had a few kids get in trouble here and there just for saying maybe going a little too far, but. It's always nice to have a good crowd. And I mean, there's been some games like the Lex game at our place was packed. It was probably the best crowd that Jim's seen in a really long time. But I mean, it's just awesome to have the crowd behind you and that extra energy you always get. It definitely helps no matter what.
And Uriah, you repaid the favor last night. I was covering a girls' game at at Shelby High School, and there was a very scaled down version of the Red Rage, but he was in the front row and he was leading the cheering section. So it's something you guys give back too, huh?
Oh yeah, I mean for volleyball, we actually I decided like halfway through this volleyball season, I'm like I don't get to cheer be in the Red Rage for anything. So we got a ton of football players. We went to like every volleyball game, and we had like probably 50 people, and it was crazy. Like you don't see that for a volleyball game, and we were crazy, and we definitely it helped the game because our volleyball team wasn't the strongest this year, but like. We definitely brought some energy. I mean, I like to go to the volleyball or the basketball game, girls' basketball games, kind of just heckle people here and there, and just mess with people a little bit. But
and he was messing with the free throw shooters from Ashland.
Oh yeah,
that's for sure. And I don't think that probably doesn't happen a lot at girls' games. They're probably not used to that. So, well, very good. I think that's going to wrap it up for this week. Hopefully, everyone survives the snowpocalypse this week, and we'll check in again with you next week For Effie James and for Uriah, thanks for coming down. This has been West 4th and Goal, and we'll catch you next week. West 4th and Goal is a part of the Richland Source Podcast Network and is produced and edited by Noah Jones. I'm your host, Kurt Conrad, and on behalf of co-host Effie James, thanks for listening.